We're here at the Southern Shores Civic Association Soundside Park, right next to North Dogwood Trail. During the Great Depression in the 1930s, this whole area was a Civilian Conservation Corps camp, also known as the CCC. Next to us is North Dogwood Trail. When David Stick and his father Frank Stick began selling Soundside lots, complete with a flat-top vacation home in 1947, this was a primitive, barely usable dirt track. How this one-time CCC camp and North Dogwood Trail even became part of Southern Shores, and even how the road got its name, is very much a part of the history of the town. By the 1950s, the Sticks knew they would be successful at selling their oceanfront vacation lots. David's vision for the town, though, included permanent residence. Recalling those days, David said that he wanted to develop these extensive interior areas with a new emphasis on sites for permanent homes. The problem was the only road through the area was Duck Road, a primitive, narrow, sandy trail. Jeeps and beach buggies were barely able to navigate it, and at times the road was so close to the Sound that lots could not be created. David came up with an ingenious solution. He pulled a drag line through the muck at the bottom of the Sound and then loaded that up into 2 dump trucks equipped with airplane tires. These dump trucks would follow a small bulldozer as it made a path through the woods. Once the trucks had dumped their loads, the bulldozer would go back over the area, flattening it. Then another tractor came through with discs to mix the sand and plant wiregrass. When the road was dry, it was dusty, and when it was wet, it was slippery, but people could now drive down Duck Road. The newly dredged channel became the Southern Shores Marina. When the road was completed and the lot surveyed, it was decided that 5 lots by the old CCC camp along Currituck Sound would not be for sale, but would instead be a picnic and waiting area for the use of property owners. One of the more interesting features of Dogwood Trail is the median dividing the road. When David surveyed the road, he realized it would go straight through probably what was the oldest living holly tree in the state. So he created the median to save the tree. The tree has subsequently died. It costs money to build roads, survey lots, and to tell people about Southern Shores. David and Frank Stick's Kitty Hawk Land Company came up with an innovative way to get the money they needed. In the 1950s, North Carolina was a center of the country's textile industry. To weave their textiles, the mills needed shuttle bobbins. Before the age of synthetics, shuttle bobbins were made from wood. And dogwood was by far the best wood that had been found. Dogwood was something that grew in abundance in Southern Shores. Joe Cox, a friend of David's, owned a company that made shuttle bobbins for the mills, and he told David he should consider harvesting the trees. David was skeptical. He wrote a letter to R.W. Graber at NC State expressing his doubts. Graber's response left no doubt Cox was right. Dogwood, when in bloom, presents a beautiful scene. So does a field of golden grain. Yet we don't ask a farmer to refrain from harvesting his crop of wheat. The same applies to dogwood, he wrote. Southern Shores landowners realized their most valuable asset was the lumber in their maritime forests. When in 1957 an Elizabeth City Lumber Company offered $9,000 to clear-cut the pine trees, David suggested an alternative. He contacted Porcius Crank, a surveyor and registered forester. Crank said the timber was worth considerably more than the offer and that thinning the trees would be more effective than clear-cutting. After marking which trees would be cut, the high bid came from Griggs Lumber of Point Harbor. Their bid was almost $64,000. Even after paying Crank's $5,000 fee, Southern Shores was still $40,000 ahead. David's vision of a forested setting for Southern Shores residents created a unique feel for the town, and it's still an important part of what residents and visitors enjoy today.